everybody, Steve Stine here. Thanks for joining me again for another live event. This is just another series in some tips and some helpful aids that you can use to keep bettering your guitar playing and things like that. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about legato. Now I play with my fretboard. My fretboard hand is my left hand, and of course if you're the other way around, it's fine. But I won't refer to left and right hand. I'm going to refer to this as my fretting hand. And basically what we want to do is we want to try and find some exercises that we can do to develop some proper strength in our fretting hand. Now, if you've watched some of my other videos before, you've probably seen me talk about this, but there's always new people that are looking for help on things like this. So I thought, what the heck, we'll talk about it today. It'll be something nice to talk about. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to talk about some basic little exercises that you can do to try and strengthen the individual fingers and the groups of fingers. So if we think about playing for the most part, if we're playing pentatonic scales or we're playing diatonic scales or whatever it might be when we're soloing, we're usually using groups of 2 fingers or 3 fingers. That's what we're usually using. Most of the time, you don't do things that use all 4 fingers when you're talking about scales. You might be playing an exercise or something, but the majority of things that you do focus around having 2-finger combinations or 3-finger combinations. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And these are really great because if you're ever in a situation where you aren't using an amp, you might have your guitar with you, but you're practicing and people are watching TV or whatever. It's a really easy exercise to practice really anywhere. And real quick, what I want to show you is this thing. If you've ever seen these before, give me 1 second here. If you've ever seen these before, this is called a shred neck. Now, I've got the Zakk Wylde version of the shred neck here. Again, I'm not endorsing them or anything. I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that. But what's really cool about this, I just went to England for 2 weeks, and I brought this along with me. So when I'm on the plane for 8 or 9 hours or whatever it is, I can just take this out and I can practice just doing some legato exercises. I can run through, some scale things and stuff like that. And so I don't really use it a lot for picking and things like that, but I use it a ton for just practicing various different legato exercises like I'm going to show you today. So if you're ever in a situation where you're in a vehicle for a long time, or you're going and you're staying somewhere out of town and you didn't bring your guitar because you didn't have room or whatever it might be, this is a really great alternative to practice. And I'm sure there's many other things like this. I just want to show you that this is something that works really, really, really well for something like that. Hey everybody, thank you for joining me. I'm looking this way at the camera, but I see your chat over here. So I'm glad that you're all here. So anyway, here's what we're going to be doing. Let's take, and just with our guitar here, what we're going to do is we're going to practice what I refer to as the 20-second exercise. Now, you can make this longer or shorter relative to what you need, but the goal here is to try and do a series of hammer-ons and pull-offs, which we will call a trill. We're going to do trills as fast and hard as we possibly can for 20 straight seconds. Okay? Now, 20 seconds doesn't seem like a long time, but when you get through this whole exercise, it's pretty brutal. So it doesn't matter how long you've been playing. It doesn't matter if you're a beginner or intermediate or advanced. The goal is to do it as hard and fast as you can for 20 seconds, and I guarantee you're going to feel it by the time that you're done. Now, if you're superhuman and you want to do it for 30 seconds or something like that, that's perfectly fine too. But let me show you what it is. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go to the 5th fret of the 3rd string, and this is something that I do every day. I do this exercise. It's a great warm-up for me. So I'm going to go to the 5th fret of the 3rd string. Now, you can go anywhere, but just do that if you've got your guitar handy, and let's do this. So what we're going to do here is for 20 seconds, we're going to do a hammer-on and a pull-off from the 5th fret to the 6th fret. So our first finger is down on the 3rd string, 5th fret, and we're going to do a hammer-on pull-off over and over and over to the 6th fret here. So it's going to sound like this. Now, when you do hammer-ons and pull-offs, the goal with the hammer-on is to strike the string to give it the same volume that you would if you picked it. What happens a lot is, when you pick it, you get this volume. And sometimes when people don't have a strong hammer-on, when they go to hammer, they kind of get something a lot less volume. We want to get a nice, strong smack of that string. Then when we pull off, we're actually going to flick that string. I do it towards the floor. I kind of flick it towards the floor like this. I've seen people go towards the ceiling, but that feels very awkward to me. So I'm going to hammer it and then pull. it doesn't matter if it's acoustic or electric. It'll sound better on an electric with distortion, but you can do it on either instrument. So we're doing this hammer-on pull-off over and over and over for 20 straight seconds. So if you've got your guitar handy, we're not going to do this for everyone because I don't want to waste your time, but let's just try it together for 20 seconds. Here we go. Ready? Go. So that would be about 20 seconds, all right? Hopefully that makes sense to you. Hey, everybody. Now what we're going to do is we are going to move on without stopping. We're going to move over to the 7th fret, and we're going to do 5 and 7. So you'll see the first finger stays put the entire time. So we did 5 and 6, and without stopping after 20 seconds, we're going to go ahead and move over and do 5 and 7 like this. Same thing. Now I'm just holding the other strings quiet over here. So let me just show you what it would look like. So you'd be coming off this one for 20 seconds. Then you'd move over. And then without stopping, you would move over to the pinky. So now the pinky is at the 8th fret. So now I'd be going 5 and 8, doing the pinky. Now it's at that point that you're probably going to start feeling a little bit of tension. 20 seconds on the first one, 20 seconds on the second one, and now 20 seconds on the third one using that pinky. Okay, so these are pretty common fingerings that we use all the time. So going through these three are very, very important, but we're not done. Okay, then what we're going to do is when we finish up 1, 2, 1, 3, and 1, 4, and again, you can be at any fret. I'm just at the 5th fret here, but then what you're going to do is set your middle finger down on the 6th fret. You can leave your first finger down. I just want to show you where it is here. So you're going to be on the 6th fret now. Without stopping, you're going to start hammering to the 3rd finger on the 7th fret. If you'd rather take that finger off, you sure can. But the point is now you're focusing on this finger combination of the middle to the 3rd. You're going to do that for 20 seconds. Then without stopping, you're going to leave that middle finger there. You're going to go to your pinky. And this is where it becomes quite difficult for most people, okay? Those finger combinations are way harder to do, but we need them. We're not always playing with the first finger. Sometimes we're using these other fingers. So we went 5, 6, 5, 7, 5, 8. Then without stopping, we put our middle finger down and we go 6, 7, 6, 8. And then without stopping, we're going to put that 3rd finger down and we're going to hammer to the pinky. So now I'm on the 7th fret and the 8th fret. Okay? So yeah, hopefully it looks like everybody's kind of making sense of this, which is perfect, okay? So you're going 1 to 2, 1 to 3, 1 to 4, and then you're just setting your middle finger down and going 2 to 3, 2 to 4. Then you're setting your 3rd finger down and going 3 to 4. So you're using 2-finger combinations. You're using all 2-finger combinations. Now, generally what will happen is after 20 seconds each, when you get to the very end, these two are not going to work real great because your fingers are going to be quite fatigued. Your arm is going to be fatigued, okay? But you just fight it out, okay? You just tough it out as best you can. You might get to the end of this and you're just going... and you can't really get it to go. Just do the best you can, okay? Because I'm going to give you a couple of other ideas that you could do throughout the week, okay? So let's say you did this exercise that we just did on Monday. So you're doing this exercise going all the way up, and you get done, and you're really tight, so you stretch out, you stretch your forearm, and stretch your fingers, all those sorts of things. Take it easy a little bit. What I like to do is the first time I do this during the day, is usually the most brutal one because I'm not really warmed up. Then after I've done it, I usually take a little 5-minute break or whatever and come back, and my fingers have got blood flow going and things just feel a lot better. So throughout the day, I will do this over and over, but it's much easier as I keep going. Now, in other lessons, I talk about what I call pre-practice, which is really just trying to get my body and my mind and everybody kind of synchronized for the day. Because as soon as I jump out of bed and start practicing, I'm not as good as I am after I've been playing for a couple hours. So this is a good example. I would use this as a pre-practice to get everybody going, but then I would do it later on again as a regular practice, and it's just everybody flows better. My fingers are flowing much better, and everything's working a little bit better. But let's say now it's Tuesday and you want to do this, or whatever it might be, and you're practicing this, but you're feeling bad because every time you go through it, by the time you get to this poor third and pinky, it's really tough. Well, what you can do is on alternate days, let's say on Tuesday, you start with your third and pinky, then you move backwards. So then you go to your middle finger and your pinky, then you go to your middle finger and third, then you go to your first finger and pinky, and you just work your way backwards instead of forward. And that's a really great way. And again, it doesn't matter. You can do each one of these each day, however you want to do it. But mixing it up is really important. That way, you start with the third and pinky and you focus on those, because anything that includes your first finger is generally going to be easier, because 1 to 2, 1 to 3, 1 to 4, these are common fingerings that we use for everything. But these three tend to need a little bit more work. These two need a whole lot more work. These two fingers just don't function very well most of the time. So that's a really great thing to do. Now, let's say it's another day or another practice throughout your day or whatever it might be, and you are finding as you're doing this that you really need work with your second and third fingers, or you've been learning some dream theater thing and you come across a pattern that you really can't do because you're finding that these two fingers, whatever they are, need more work. Right? So that's a great time to just practice for longer than 20 seconds, a single combination over and over and over, just trying to develop that finger combination. I'm going to look over here and see how everybody's doing. Okay. Now, somebody asked about using trying to practice without a guitar, and there are some things that you can do. You know, you can move up to the wall, for instance, or on the table, and you can try and practice moving your fingers back and forth like this. Okay, I do a lot of just movement things when I don't have a guitar with me. I have a tendency of just moving my fingers around a lot, trying to keep everybody very flexible. But you know, you can buy like little hand grips and things like that. The only thing with hand grips, I forget what it's called, like riff grip or something like that, is that you want to make sure that you don't abuse the muscles so you wind up hurting yourself. Because the trick with this is, the only tension there is the pressure of you pushing against the string. With those like riff grips or whatever they're called, they have springs on them. So you actually have to press down with the spring, and if you set the tension way too high, you can actually kind of hurt your fingers. So make sure if you get something like that, they're fine. Just get one that's comfortable for you so you're not actually hurting yourself as you're practicing. So that's something you can do if you don't have a guitar, and that little guy just fits into a pocket or briefcase or whatever it is that you've got. So, okay, so anyway, those are the two finger combinations. I don't want to take up too much of your time. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move on and do 3 finger combinations. Now, 3 finger, we know, are just 2 combinations of 2 fingers, right? So you're going to be doing like 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 4, or 1, 3, 4, whatever it might be. Now, again, we can do this finger combination 2, 3, and 4, but if you think logically, you don't, and again, please understand, you can do any of these anytime. But what I want you to always think about is, what do you need most for what you're studying, right? If you're doing pentatonics, you may not even be doing a lot of 3 finger combinations. Maybe you are, but maybe you're not, right? Or if you're learning how to play diatonic scales and you're learning spread fingerings or something like that, you're going to notice that you use a lot of 1, 2, 4 and 1, 3, 4. Okay? So again, I'm not saying one's more important or less important. I'm just saying whatever it works for you, it's always best to try and focus on the ones that you really need with whatever it is you're studying, because you're going to see more benefit right away. So now let's just take the same idea. I'm going to go to that same 5th fret of the 3rd string, and this time what I'm going to do is a hammer on and pull off, going from 5 to 6 to 8, like this. So I'm using my first finger, my middle finger, and my pinky. Which always sounds like Speed Racer to me, but that's what it is. Then you can do 1, 3, 4. Now please understand that the 1, 3, 4 is going to be a little bit harder because it's giving you this combination again. So it takes a little bit more work. Okay, so that's another one that's really good to practice, is just a 3-finger one, doing 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4. If you want to do 1, 2, 3 or something, it's okay. You can do whatever you want. But just understand how that's working. Okay? Then the last one I want to show you is going back to a 2-finger one, but you're just using them all in a sequence like this. Watch this. I'm going to go 5, 6, 5, 7, 5/8. So I'm going like this. So I'm going 5/6/5, then 7/5, then 8/5, then 7/5, then 6/5. You can just practice whatever, just moving back and forth between those. So hopefully that helps you a little bit in understanding. And again, let me grab this. So that's what I would be doing, like if I was, again, in the airport or on the plane, or again, I didn't always have a guitar when I was over in England to practice with. Sometimes I did, but sometimes I didn't. So I could just sit and practice these exact same things that I just showed you with this shred neck, right? So I could do 1, 2, and 1, 3, and 1, 4. And you're noticing right now that it's not really making any sound, right? That's what I'm looking for. So I'm just going back and forth between these. However, if I want to do a 3-finger combination. So it makes for a really great way of traveling and practicing these exact exercises, where like that grip master or whatever it's called, that wouldn't be so much like what we're doing right now. It would be for individual finger strength. You'd be squeezing that down to try and develop strength in each one of your individual fingers. So it's a little bit different, but certainly could still be very beneficial for you. So hopefully that makes sense to you. And I want you to just, the most important thing here is that you continue practicing and staying positive with everything you're doing, right? Because a lot of this stuff can get really frustrating as you keep going. Your fingers will hurt, or your wrist will hurt, or your forearm will hurt, and you need to stop and you need to stretch out and all those kind of things. But the goal here is that repetition, okay? So we're not worried about a metronome or anything like that. We're just trying to build strength between these fingers with these combinations. So hopefully that helps you a little bit. Thank you so much for joining me. I do have a link down below that talks a little bit about what I refer to as the ultimate practice routine. It's a course that I made. So if you're looking at trying to get organized a little bit in your practice or something, it's certainly something that you could check out and see if it helps you. But either way, have a wonderful day and stay positive and keep practicing, and I'll talk to you soon, all right?